Lots of kind of 6 inches to 1 foot. Go through the trees, Kevin. Okay, what's up, guys? We've got the brand new Rocky Mountain Instinct with us today, which is really a lot of fun because I've been spending a lot of time on its big brother, the Rocky Mountain Altitude. If you haven't seen that video, I actually have my Altitude set up as a mullet with a 29er front wheel and a 27.5 wheel size rear wheel and tire. The Instinct's cool though. I mean, they're really similar frames. They feel kind of the same type of feel like when you sit on them. That's one thing I've always really liked about Rockies is, I mean, for years, as soon as I get on them, they just feel like right. Like the cockpit feels the right size. I don't know, it just feels good. It's just easy to ride and easy to get on. I used to own the previous generation Rocky Mountain Instinct, and I love that bike. I loved how lightweight that bike was for a 140 mil travel bike. So if you're not already familiar, 150 millimeter fork, Fox 36 with a Fit 4 damper, and then 140 millimeters in the rear. I'm on the Carbon 70 model today, so it has the DPX2 rear shock, but a lot of the other models, the lower models, come with a DPS shock. Climbing, look, I've had this bike for about 3 weeks now. I've ridden it a number of times. The bike climbs good, but like all Rockies, you know, you gotta flip it, you gotta add some pedal management into it, flip it down into that trail mode, and then it's a little bit more supportive, gives you something you can kind of stand on. And then descending, I open it back up. And we'll get to the descending here in just a minute. But climbing's good, you know. I kind of wish this bike came spec'd, the Carbon 70 came spec'd with full XT group set and a carbon frame. And it came with a DHF 2.5 front tire, DHR2 2.4 rear tire. They're both EXO plus casing. And although I love the traction of the tires and the durability, for a trail bike, which is where this is kind of slotted in Rocky Mountain's lineup, they're kind of heavy and slow rolling. So I think they're great tires. I love them. I would have liked personally to see like a Maxxis Dissector up front, maybe Dissector front and rear, or Dissector in the front and a Recon in the rear. I don't know, that would have been cool. Here we are on one of the steepest sections of trail that we ride here in Corner Canyon, and it's a bit of a push. Today's video is sponsored by Lab Austere hip packs. Locally made here in Utah, really cool packs. The nice thing about them is they hang low off of your body, like a tool belt, like a construction worker's tool belt, right? So it's not sitting on the small of your back like most lumbar packs are, getting your back all sweaty and uncomfortable. This one hangs off the back of you, really easy to grab your bottle, take a drink, reholster easy, and it's a kind of a minimalist pack. So it brings along the essentials. I've got my dart, my Stance dart, my toolkit, spare tubes, some CO2s, and a snack. Holds 2 water bottles. It is the perfect pack. I've been wearing it for about 3 years now, and I love it. They sponsored this video. There's a link in the description down below to where you can get 25% off this hip pack right now using promo code YUMYUM in the checkout box. The promotional code YUMYUM for 20% off. Lab Austere hip packs. Dude, once you get this thing, you'll wonder why you never had one before. They're just so nice. All right, we're at the top of the climb here. A couple more seconds of climbing, and then we'll get to the descent. All right, well, we are descending on the Rocky Mountain Instinct. Just to give you an idea of the lay of the land here, this is about a 3-minute downhill with high speed, kind of wide open. It's not real tight through here, but lots of kind of 6-inch to 1 foot. Go through the trees, Kevin. There we go. Yeah, lots of like 6-inch to like 1.5 foot kind of chunky sections. Man, like I said, I've been riding this bike for about 3 weeks, And Rocky Mountains just, they're so good at descending. That's the reason why you buy a Rocky, for how these things descend. Woo! Oh man, it's just so wide open. Like, it handles the trail so smooth. I've got my rebound turned up really high, higher than I do on most other bikes, because a Rocky Mountain just feels good. Wide open with a fast rebound. I don't know, something different about them. Oh yeah. I really think these Rocky Mountains, this Instinct has so much traction in the rear. I mean, granted, I got awesome tires on here, that DHR2 out back, but there's just so much traction and confidence. Yeah. So we hit speeds of over 30 miles an hour through that last section. And we'll get going fast down here again. Bike feels super planted, rear tire glued to the ground. Probably more so than something like the Ibis Ritmo, honestly, which I have an Ibis Ritmo right now too that I've been riding. Woo! This has got XT 4-piston brakes, and man, they just get on the gas, or the brakes, sorry. Yeah. Oh. Dude, so good. Shut it down. Man, the suspension is just so wide open and available to you. Makes all that high-speed chundry stuff just feel like no big deal.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so good.
I haven't ridden like that, like top to bottom in a while.
Oh, dude, just sending it. That was so much fun. I wish it has a 150 millimeter dropper, and I wish it had a 170, you know? Not a big deal. I hate to complain about something like that, but yeah, this size medium, I'm gonna stop real quick, comes with a 150 mil dropper there, if you can see. And it's not a big deal. Like I said, I hate to complain about that, but a 170, 175 would be better. Dude, the bike runs so good. You can see where my O-rings are there. Got the suspension right where I want. I want to get about 90% of the rear and about 90% of the fork. So the fork's maybe just a little bit soft for that trail. But, oh, the bike runs so good. It's such a cool looking bike, this tan and purple. It also comes in like that mint green and like tuxedo black. That's a good looking bike too. All right, let's get down to the lower section of trail. Okay, so this is a tighter section of trail, a little flowier, not quite as, you know, harsh and rough as that upper section. This is a good test for this bike though. It's really still fast, but a little flowier, blue style trail, more flowy. Nice thing about this bike is for as wide open and active as that rear shock is through the chundery sections of trail, it still is really supportive. Got plenty of support to stand up on and pedal on and just push against. Makes the bike feel really responsive and poppy. So, man, just boosts off everything. I'm running the rebound pretty fast anyway on this bike, but man, it makes it fun. And like I said earlier, so much traction. Dude, it's just such a good bike. Not quite as nimble as like an Ibis Ripley, but man, I'd say it's probably more playful and just nimble feeling than the Ritmo or the Pivot Switchblade. Just wants to jib around the trail. I just love this category of bike. If you only own one bike, hard to pass up this category, right?
Oh,
You. Now there's a little jump section. Oh, came up short on that one. Some jumps on this trail as well. Yeah. Man, I gotta say, the bike just feels so balanced. You. We have a little tailwind right now, which helps clear these jumps a little bit, but still, the bike feels good. Oh yeah, it's easy to manual. I mean, I'm not great at manualing, but the sections of trail that are nice to manual, this is easy to do it. I feel like it just moves around on the trail super easy, which that might sound weird. It's a 29er, it's got a decent wheelbase to it, but I just feel like this bike's easier to descend on than the Ibis Ritmo that I've been riding. Which is crazy because that bike has been one of my favorite, like most playful big bikes. Yeah. So good. I don't know if I'm just riding extra well today, because this is like the 6th time I've ridden this bike. I don't know if I'm riding extra good today or what, but it just feels so balanced. And I think we have a tailwind, so it just makes clearing all these little jumps that much easier. Wow, that was fun. All right, turn the camera off for a sec, get some final thoughts. Oh, this has been a fun month riding this bike. Woo! What's up, guys? I just got back from my ride on the brand new Rocky Mountain Instinct. I love Rocky Mountains. They just feel so active, so open when you're descending. In today's video, we're going to talk about kind of who this bike is for, the things that I really liked about it, how it compares to other bikes in this category, kind of that mid-travel 29er category. This bike originally comes with a DHF front tire and a DHR2 rear tire, which is pretty burly tires for a trail bike. And given your terrain and riding style, that might be the appropriate tires for this bike. But I'll tell you, after having a couple rides on my own personal wheel set that I have on the bike right now, which is an Ardent Race in the rear and a Recon up front, which is like a faster rolling, lighter weight tire that still has pretty dang good traction, man, it just brings this whole bike to life and makes it feel zippy and fast. That's the type of trails that I ride most of the time. In fact, that's the type of trails I see most people out riding, tons of people. And it wakes this bike up quite a bit. I picked this bike up from Mike at Utah Mountain Biking in Lehi, Utah. He's Utah's largest Rocky Mountain dealer. And as I'm filming this in May 2021, he has tons of Instincts still in stock. So he has them both in the tan purple color that I've got here today, but he also has the black and the kind of the greenish mint looking rear. And I actually like that one even better in person between the two colorways. But he has them in stock. He's the nicest guy in the world. Give him a call. I'll put his phone number here on the screen and then a link down to his shop down below. Or if you're from out of state and you want to purchase this bike, there's also a link to Jensen USA just below this video in the description below, where you can purchase this bike. A portion of that purchase goes toward me. It's an affiliate link that I get paid a very small amount on, and so I appreciate the support if you end up buying from Jensen as well. All right, I just want to tell you the nitty-gritty real quick. It is that this is, after about 6 or 7 rides, I would say that this is the most like trail bike available. And that might be confusing, but my point is a ton of trail bikes today are becoming enduro bikes, all mountain bikes, just total sleds. You know, they feel really long, little slow through the corners. This still has a real snappy, fast feel, even though it's not like the shortest bike in terms of wheelbase either. In fact, in the description below will be that same link where you can click on it and go to all the details about the bike. Wheelbase, the reach, I just can't remember all that stuff. I think I'm riding it in the Ride 9 position, the neutral position, the number 5 position, which gives you about roughly a 65-degree head tube angle, excuse me, a 65.5 degree head tube angle, and a 76.5 degree seat tube angle. And my daily bike that I ride every day is an Ibis Ripley. And so this, just getting on it, feels very, very similar to that bike, how I have it set up right now in the Ride 9 number 5 neutral position where that shock is. Especially with these are the wheels and tires off of my Ibis Ripley, and they're very fast, they're very familiar to me. I love that recon up front. And man, after riding this bike 4 or 5 times with those big heavy tires on my local trails, I was like, man, I've got to swap out these faster tires. I did, and man, I'm really surprised how zippy this bike feels, and it still has that planted, stable feel, much more stable and planted than my Ibis Ripley. But man, it has that zippy, like full of life type of feeling that I love about my Ripley. And I don't think I attribute the value, the characters of a snappy, fast bike. I don't think I attribute enough of that to tires on my channel as I probably should. But the bike still feels incredibly stable with this tire combination on. The rides that I did today had a lot of jumps on it and stuff, and it felt awesome. It feels good in the air, it feels good on the ground. One thing I need to mention is I ride this bike, especially on my local trails, most of the time in the trail position on the shock. So I can flip it up to all the way open, into the middle on trail, or all the way down to locked out. I never lock out this bike. I just don't see a reason to do that. I rode, the last 2 times I've ridden this bike, I left it in the trail position the entire time, and it just makes it feel a little bit more supportive. It makes it feel more like my Ibis Ripley, honestly. And that's what I love about this bike. I think what I said a moment ago is that this is like the most trail bike available right now of all the bikes I've ridden, because when you put it in that middle position on that rear shock, it just firms everything up a little bit, gives a little bit more support, and you can hammer on the pedals. The bike feels more responsive. But man, if you come across some trail that's just a little more janky, just bam, put it into the open position. And you know, the pivot switchblade, it doesn't have that same option. I mean, you can lock it out, but that DW link on the pivot switchblade has so much pedal management and just suspension management built into that bike. It doesn't have that opened up and active feel that this has when you ride it in that open position. Same thing with like the Ibis Ripmo. Those are 2 bikes that I've spent a lot of time on that are kind of similar to this. This is a 140 in the rear, 150 Fox 36 up front. And I would say that this bike feels zippier and faster. In fact, I remember one of the times I was riding, I was like, man, this bike feels so good and so fast underneath me, but there was a big tailwind that day. So I was like, oh, you know what? It was probably just the tailwind. I was riding with the wind, and so I didn't have any of that resistance from the wind. But no, every time I ride this bike, it puts a huge smile on my face. I gotta tell you guys, this is probably the bike, if I could only own one bike, after having it for a month, I think this is probably the bike I would probably be on. I just think it has a little bit more, it can handle those slow speed trails more like my Ripley, even more so than a Ripmo or a Pivot Switchblade could, right? In fact, it doesn't feel that different, honestly, than like the new Trail 429 that came out by Pivot. It's really cool. And then you open it up and put it in that open setting, and it just hammers the high speed chunky terrain too. I'm really surprised at how versatile, that's the word, how versatile this bike is. I mean, this is truly like an every man's bike. You know, what was it, the Santa Cruz Tallboy, I've always said for a long time, the Santa Cruz Tallboy, it has that same feeling. It's so capable, so versatile. I would say this is just a click up from the Tallboy, and it doesn't give anything away to the Tallboy in climbing at all. And then you can still go tackle some big terrain with that Fox 36 up front. I just think it's a really cool bike. Some of the things I hated about the bike, man, I'm sick of medium bikes, I don't care what the brand is, of coming with a 150 dropper post, right? I've got like, I'm 5'8" on a size medium, and I've got like 2.5, almost 3 inches of the seat post sticking out there. And I don't know, I wouldn't mind a 170 or 175 drop. Just give me like that extra little bit, you know? Like it, I think most people on a medium are not gonna slam the post all the way down, or they could just cut their seat posts you know, shorter like Ibis does. Ibis's seat post comes up to like right there. Anyway, not a huge deal. Another thing is the way that these cables come out of the front of the bike, they're at a very upward angle. Instead of coming out of the bike like this, it comes up. So every once in a while I get, can you hear that? Every once in a while I just get my cables, and my Ibis Ripley, which I've been riding for 3 seasons now. I love that bike, it's my favorite bike. My Ibis Ripley does the same thing. The cables come up out of the bike like this, instead of out of the bike out of the front, and then around to the, you know, the brakes and the shifter and the dropper. And so your cables are kind of like always up here. Can you hear that? Drives me crazy. So I kind of hate that. Things I love about the bike, how versatile it is. I mentioned that. All Rocky Mountain trail bikes come with a chain guide. I don't know why every bike brand doesn't do that. I love having a chain guide on my bike. Never have to worry about dropping a chain, and keeps the bike, I think, keeps the bike a little more quiet. That's the other thing. This bike, with dogs barking and stuff now, I'm going to talk about how quiet the bike is. The bike is dead quiet. Rocky Mountain's new, I think they ripped off, they saw what Specialized did with the stump jumper. They had all that chain guide protection here on the rear chainstay. Not chain guide, just this protective stuff. It keeps the bike, the chain, so quiet. Also at the bottom of the bike, you'll see here all this protection stuff here if you put on the back of your truck or whatever. Just smart bike. Rocky Mountain Instinct though, I think it's the bike to have if you can only have one bike and your trails are similar to the ones you see in my videos. It just does everything really, really well, especially if you have 2 sets of different tires. The fast rolling set like this, and then a more capable, thicker set for the other type of trails. Thanks for watching, guys. I could ramble on and on about this bike. Maybe what we do is we do a live stream here in 3 or 4 days after the video airs on YouTube, only because that gives us an opportunity to really sink our teeth into it. I can answer your questions more. In fact, if you have questions that you want me to answer, stick them in the description or the comment section below this video. I do my best to get back to people on those. I think we're going to be starting a Patreon website real soon, where another place where you can ask a lot of questions. I'll be better able to answer those questions there as well. I ride a ton of different bikes, and in terms of mid-travel trail bikes, they're always going to give up something. This bike gives up something a little bit to my Ibis Ripley, which is like a more short travel, fast cross-country-ish trail bike, right? It gives up something to its older brother, the Rocky Mountain Altitude, which is a really long travel bike. But if you only own one bike, I could totally build a case around having this be it. I think it's awesome. Does everything well. I'd get it in the black and green color. That kind of mint color looks so good in person. And anyway, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, this is what I do, bike reviews. Get out and ride them and compare them to other bikes that I've ridden. Subscribe, stick around, and hit the like button if you like the video. And then 3 or 4 days from now, look on my Instagram. Go over to MTB Yum Yum on Instagram, where we'll probably talk more about when we'll do the live stream. Anyway, thanks, guys. It's a great time to be a mountain biker. Man, disc brakes, dropper seat post, tubeless tires. You don't have to be putting patches on our stupid tubes anymore in our tires. It's just the best time ever to be a mountain biker. And access to trails. Okay, I'll see you guys in the live stream. Otherwise, I'll keep talking. My wife holding the camera right now, smiling at me, saying, "Hey, cut it off. This video's getting too long."